Hey, we're cooking with gas here on the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakken af een jam.
Nebbig.
Verpoepoepoe.
Vermischt.
Verkakt.
Vertut.
Verstonken.
Fartig.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
Here we go.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the exciting 20th episode of American Jew.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
I'm Jonathan Randall.
I'm Jordan Ferber.
And we've done it. We're 20 episodes.
I'm kvelling.
Oh my gosh, the nachos that I have for us is really unbelievable.
I like saying nachas.
I like trying to hear a Gentile say nachas.
Yeah.
Really, what is that? Why is that the non-Jews really have a hard time with the Do they just not want to say that? Does that hurt their throat? Or why are Jews? It's so much easier for us to say it.
It could be allergies. We're just better at it because of allergies.
Is that what it is?
We're very phlegmy people.
We're the phlegmy Jews.
You spend that long in the desert. Basically you just end up being very phlegmy.
Is that what happened?
I guess.
Too much sand. Is that what?
Yeah.
We were trying to clear our throat the whole time.
It's a very dry complaint.
Okay.
Hello.
Right. That's an interesting theory.
Yeah, it's just a theory. It's nice to finally have good news in the Jewish world, right?
We got some good Jewish news.
Yeah, there's good Jewish news. Ruth Bader Ginsburg just won an MTV Movie Award.
I'm sure that's what she really wanted in her life. This MTV Movie Award probably means absolutely nothing to her.
I don't know. Yeah, she doesn't even know what it is. Probably.
She's probably like, "Who cares? This is not why I got into
the Venn
the law
diagram
or anything."
The Venn diagram of how much information she knows about the MTV Movie Awards and people who watch the MTV Movie Awards' knowledge of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That Venn diagram are two separate circles.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
They do not overlap.
They overlap at all.
No.
But hey, good for MTV for, trying to give something to somebody other than The Rock or Zac Efron, I guess.
Right, yeah. She won for Best Real Life Hero. That's what she won for. She was also up for 2 other awards, which is pretty crazy.
Who else was she up against for Best Real Life Hero, do you know?
Yeah, she beat out rock climber Alex Honnold, comedian Hannah Gadsby, wrestler Roman Reigns, and tennis superstar Serena Williams.
Yeah, she kind of is on a whole different level. How sad would it have been if she lost to a rock climber or to freaking Nanette? Come on. Oh my gosh, she has to win.
That's crazy, right? But she lost the other 2 categories she was in. The RGB documentary about her lost to Surviving R. Kelly, which probably pissed her off.
Hey!
And
that was a good one, Jordan.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg versus Inequality lost to Captain Marvel for Best Fight category.
Oh, okay.
So I guess the fight. I haven't seen the Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary, but I'm guessing the fight's not as exciting as Captain Marvel.
Well, was that the documentary? Because there's a real movie about her too, right? That came out.
Well, no. I imagine that they're referring to
best
her
fight scene. Is there a fight scene in the documentary? No, that has to be for the movie that came out, the Hollywood movie about Ruth Ginsburg, right?
Oh yeah, I guess. Okay,
I would think so. I don't think there
is there a fight scene in there.
Probably, I guess.
Do they
maybe
brawl?
A court fight scene
Get
or
some
something.
fisticuffs.
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen it. I feel like I should see it.
I mean,
I'm a little disappointed with myself.
I feel
need to go out with a more feminist girl or something.
I feel like I want to see it now just for the fight.
Well, it's not as good as the Captain Marvel fight, apparently.
Right. Well,
her fight for justice and equality between men and women does not stand up to the fight against the Kree.
Yeah.
I think we needed Ruth in Captain Marvel instead of Annette Bening.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
That would have been a good. Interesting casting choice.
That would have been a fun.
Was she at the MTV Awards?
She wasn't there. No, she was not there to accept it.
Oh, who accepted it on her behalf?
It doesn't say.
Kim Kardashian.
But there's also other interesting news in the Jewish world.
What else are we talking about?
Anne Frank.
Oh my goodness!
Finally,
I couldn't believe this news I read about Anne Frank. I didn't even know this, that apparently the version of Anne Frank that we have in America, the English version, is a highly edited version where they took out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that I guess in Europe, they have other editions that include more that aren't in English. And not only was Anne Frank may be hiding in the attic, but she might have been hiding in the closet as well.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh! Apparently, she was bisexual and she liked boys and girls.
Yeah, well, she seemed like a very mature young girl. I mean, all of this. I haven't read the diary in a long time myself, but she was obviously had a lot of opinions about a lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, she wanted to be an author. Unfortunately, her life was taken too soon. There is a lot about that. Like, is it wrong for us to be reading her private diary and to have this go out to everybody? I mean, did they take out parts of this sexuality? And I know you were saying that there was a lot more sexual jokes too, because they wanted to give her privacy, or more because they wanted to paint her picture and her story in a different light, because the Diary of Anne Frank is like a big part of like literature, a lot of it's part of the curriculum for a lot of schools, and it's a lot of the only window that people really have into Judaism or what happened in the Holocaust. So is that like why they wanted to paint this picture, you think?
It could be. I think also, like, the time that the period of time that book was published, it was really trying to give an insight into what it was like to be somebody in that era, during the Holocaust. And I think they wanted to focus on her Judaism and her potential rather than her sexuality.
They didn't want to, because that's the more interesting part.
I mean,
this was I guess a part that was taken out from her. I'm quoting a part of her diary that isn't in the English version, where she goes, "I remember that once when I slept with a girlfriend, I had a strong desire to kiss her, and that I did do so. I go into ecstasies every time I see the naked figure of a woman, such as Venus, for example. If only I had a girlfriend."
Wow. Well, I think it's also, I mean, we can all agree the female form is a lot more attractive than the male form.
I mean, I think so too, but there are many people that disagree. Even in, old Roman and Greek cultures, they loved the male form. They had a totally different view of homosexuality.
Yeah.
But they still had a negative view of the Jews. Yeah, but it's funny because, especially in this day and age where we are with the LGBTQ community, to have Anne Frank, this historical figure who, was giving people knowledge about Jews and the Holocaust and what happened, to have also been a bisexual, and them to be able to see this figure that's probably was going through a lot of the things that they go through growing up. Like, I think it would be even more powerful.
Yeah, I think it's empowering to just learn more about Anne Frank. We don't know as much as we should, I think. The fact that we go out of our way to point out her humanity in the face of like the devastation of the Holocaust. There aren't nearly as many books and documentaries and things about her as there are about Hitler.
I mean, there definitely should be, I guess, I apparently we don't know anything, we just know what they want us to know. We know what we're fed. It seems to be, a theme in a lot of these Jewish texts, Jewish beliefs that, even with the Jews' hatred towards Palestine, a lot of people that I talk to, they don't even know why. They're just like, oh yeah, that's all Palestinians want to hate us. It trickles down with like this bad game of like telephone, and
right.
We get the information and we're like, this is what it is, and we don't even know. Anne Frank was bisexual. I had no idea this whole time until I read this article. I've been familiar with Anne Frank since I was in elementary school. I went to the Anne Frank house when I was in Amsterdam. Like I had no idea. You still learn stuff. I wonder what's more in this. Yeah. These editions that have like more to it than just what they wanted to take out and what the real story is, and maybe her whole diary would come across a different way if we really read the whole parts of it and not cherry picked what these publishers or editors wanted us to see.
Yeah, that's true. I think it would have. I think it would have been more exciting of a read to have that sex stuff in there.
I mean, for sure. I mean, hey, we don't want to talk about this lightly. The Holocaust was a very serious thing. How people are denying the Holocaust still is mind-blowing to me. I'm sure I've mentioned before on the podcast, I have been to Auschwitz. I walked on the March to the Living. These things happen. This isn't fiction. I know a lot of people want to say anti-Semitic remarks, that this is just what the Jews use to gain sympathy from the world, or what we do to control the state of Israel, but it's just not true. Those are just lies, anti-Semitic lies at that. and that happened. We're not trying to take light, but hey, the movie I saw with Anne Frank would be in a lot hotter and sexier if she was in bed with girls, and there was this
which movie are you talking about?
Sexual aspect. There's like an old movie about it.
An old one.
Yeah, I don't think maybe they're going to do like a more recent.
So I know that Natalie Portman played her
up.
on Broadway, right? Natalie Portman did Diary of Anne Frank on
I'm
Broadway.
not 100% sure, but that sounds right to me.
Recently.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
I didn't see it either, but I would imagine.
But I would. I'll tell you who didn't do the music for that Moby. So yeah, if you're a fan of Anne Frank, go check out, a version that hasn't been so edited. Check out the more complete version of her diary. There's a lot more to her than we know as this, girl who was forced to live in an attic, and, her life ended way too soon, but she was a lot more complex than any of us have been led to believe.
Have you seen the roast of Anne Frank on Comedy Central?
I have not seen it.
On Netflix. It's
I have not seen it.
Jeff Ross's historical roasts. Happy to give them a little shout out here. Rachel Feinstein plays Anne Frank.
Okay.
And they roast her.
Okay.
Gilbert Gottfried plays Hitler.
Very nice.
It's pretty funny. How can you go wrong with Gilbert Gottfried?
Love Gilbert Gottfried.
And I love all the roasts. And apparently, according to Jeff Ross, he did it because he wanted to help inform people better about Anne Frank's story and honor her by giving her a voice that we hadn't necessarily maybe heard before.
Like they say, we only roast the ones we love. Of course, it's a little edgy. I personally am a fan of Jeff Ross. I recommend the historical roasts. My girl Yamanika is on it. Check it out, everybody. Hey, Anne Frank's diary, again, these aren't all, I'm sure she didn't think the whole world was going to be reading her diary after, and it was, her name, she was going to become almost kind of immortal because, everyone knows of her. It's pretty, even though people probably know more about Hitler, anyone that knows about the Holocaust, Anne Frank's name is kind of synonymous with it. We could always learn more about everything. Of course, a lot of the generations of the people that are Holocaust survivors are passing away and are no longer with us. And, every year, every day that goes by, there's less and less. And, of course, we need more knowledge of what happened because, the Jews have suffered a lot. The Holocaust was just... the one of the biggest things in modern history that happened. But, we've been suffering from anti-Semitism from before there was such a phrase as anti-Semitism, and the Jews have just not been liked.
Let's just hope that maybe next year Anne Frank can win an MTV Movie Award.
Yeah, I hope she does.
Yeah.
I hope she'll beat out Black Widow.
Black Klansman.
Oh, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
as the hero.
So what was this emoji thing you sent me? You sent me a thing about the Jews want a Jewish emoji?
I guess there were a bunch of rabbis getting together, and they were petitioning to have more Jewish representation in the emojis. I guess they wanted like an emoji with a yarmulke, maybe emoji with some sideburn payas. I don't know, with the emoji with the Star of David necklace. I'm not really sure, but what do you think? Do you think we need Jewish emojis?
Isn't it enough that they're free? I don't think we need an emoji for everything. Why do we have to go back to hieroglyphics at this point? We have so many alphabets.
I feel like if there were Jewish emojis, then most of them would be used anti-Semitically.
Right.
And not but I mean, I don't know. There's representation. I guess, could there be all religions? I mean, are there women with burqas on the emojis?
I don't know. Is there a priest emoji?
I think there is.
Yeah, so there should. I mean, I guess there probably should be a rabbi
You
emoji.
think there should be a rabbi emoji?
But I mean, how Jewy do you go with the emoji?
I don't know if there should be. I mean, I guess they could have one with the yarmulke, but it does seem like, how Jewy do they go before it becomes like there's one with the big nose, and like one with money coming out of its ears.
Well, listen, I think if using emojis and hieroglyphics is going to simplify some of these Torah portions, I'm all for it. But otherwise, I really don't even use them myself.
All right, so, we didn't talk about the Torah portion last week, and we got some messages that people missed our Torah portion talk.
Yeah, so here we go. 2-minute Torah portion.
Let's try to talk about it in 2 minutes. So, let's see. God wants Aaron to light up the menorah, right? We got some menorah lighting going on.
Right.
They're bringing the Levi group into become the Kohanes, so they're going through like a ritual to purify them, right?
And then they have like the second Passover for the people that were impure during actual Passover.
Yeah, so I guess like you couldn't give the sacrifice to God if like someone had just died or you were impure for what God said. And the Jews all love to complain no matter what, whether they have to do something or they don't do something. And some of the Jews were upset because they didn't get to do Passover, so they made a second Passover opportunity for them to go do it.
I want to make my sacrifices too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they make the sacrifice, and then they complain that God didn't give them enough food. They're like
I guess
about the manna.
They are just eating the manna from heaven, which I thought tasted like anything you wanted it to taste like. But they're upset that there's no meat. They want to eat more meat.
This is just a side dish.
And then I was reading that like God was like, "Oh, you want meat? I'll give you meat." He was like going to give them so much meat that like they wouldn't be able to eat any more meat. Kind of like the thing like if you catch your kids smoking, like make them smoke a whole pack, and then he won't want to do that. That's what God was going to do to everybody. Like, oh, you want meat? I'm going to keep shoving meat down your face till it's coming out of your ears and you're sick of meat. And by the way, at this point, Moses is just so sick of the Jews complaining all the time. He's like, I can't take this anymore. He has to appoint 70 elders. He's like, I need somebody between me and all these complaining Jews. And I guess that's what happens. And now these 70 people start, taking all the complaints from the people and they're bringing it to Moses. He needed like a go-between.
He must have some serious high blood pressure at this point too.
He is stressed out.
He is stressed. Yeah, he talks to God, and then he tells the Israelites all the things that God told him, and the Israelites are like, yeah, right. So he's like, no, trust me, God is going to smite you if you don't do what I say.
I mean, God's pretty proven himself, like, who will take you down.
Yeah, God is not fucking around.
I mean, I don't know why, like, the Jews don't learn their lesson.
So they're complaining about the bread. Oh, right. Miriam speaks negatively of Moses, and they give her leprosy. God gives her leprosy because of it.
I know. Moses is doing so much. He doesn't need, like, your smack talk. And then, Moses, he fasts. Everybody starts fasting to try to help get rid of her leprosy. When does Moses sleep, man? Moses is, like, one of the busiest guys in like the history of history. Like, wow, he's taking crap from everybody, from God, from his family, from all of the Jews. We really need to give Moses a lot more credit because he really did a lot.
Well, you wait till next week.
Check us out on social media at American Jew Podcast on everything except for Twitter. We're at American Jew Pod. American Jew Podcast at gmail.com. Check me out on Instagram at Jonathan Randall.
You can find me on Instagram at BeatNickNudnick.
And thanks for listening to our 20th episode. I hope you guys will be with us for 20 more.
Yeah, chala.